simply means that it's another effort on the part of the president to dominate the country by force and to put into effect these uncalled for and these damnable proposals he has recommended under the guise of so-called civil rights. And I tell you, the American people from one side or the other had better wake up and oppose such a program. And if they don't, the next thing will be a totalitarian state in these United States.
But I know who does have the power. The people of the United States of America. The power of the people is greater than the people in power. It is time to heed the words of the man I began this whole thing with, John Lewis. I beg folks to take his example of his early days where he made himself determined to show his love for his country at a time the country didn't love him, to love this country so much, to be such a patriot that he endured beatings savagely on the Edmund Pettus Bridge, at lunch counters, on freedom rides. He said he had to do something. He would not normalize a moment like this. He would not just go along with business as usual. He wouldn't know how to solve it. But there's one thing that he would do that I hope we all can do, that I think I did a little bit of tonight. He said for us to go out and cause some good trouble, necessary trouble, to redeem the soul of our nation. I want you to redeem the dream. When our founder said we must mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. We need that now from all Americans. This is a moral moment. It's not left or right, it's right or wrong. Let's get in good trouble. My friend, Madam President, I yield the floor.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to another edition of Let It Be Known. I'm your host, Stacy Brown. This is the morning show for the Black Press USA.
Peace and love. I'm Niele, your co-pilot, and as Stacy said, let it be known. I'm going to extend that is the place where we amplify Black voices and bring you the headlines that are impacting and uplifting the Black experience. And what a day yesterday, Stacy.
Well, you saw a little bit of it right there. I don't know. It seems like as the day went on, more and more people began to watch Democratic Senator Cory Booker out of New Jersey. He finally ended his record-setting speech the same way he began it more than 25 hours and 5 minutes earlier, by invoking the words of his mentor, the late Congressman and civil rights icon John Lewis. This, a lot of people kept tuning in as it went on. As I said, at one point, they just on one site alone, there was 40,000 people watching. The Congressional Black Caucus members continued to come into the room. At one point, so what was missed there, and I have my thoughts, I'll get to that in a moment, on the whole idea of this filibuster at this time. But at one point overnight, what is this, Monday night into Tuesday, Cory was all by himself in that room. And so the rules are, you can't sit down. Once you sit down, it's over. You can't stop talking unless somebody's asking you a question. And that's where his Democratic colleagues came in. They came in and asked questions and took up time asking those questions to give him a breath.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And I thought yesterday when we started the show, I know you were on the fence, and I was like, okay. But once we finished the show and I sat down, I put the TV on C-SPAN and I just let it play. And it just became more historical, more engaging. You started looking at your timeline and more people had started tuning in. So what he did mattered. I think at the end of the day, it garnered so much attention. People began to pay attention to the clips. They started tuning in. He gave us a historical context. He gave us some Black history, some American history. He talked about what's at stake. And like you said, his colleagues are two female Black senators. They were there. They were supporting him, and like you said, we saw the CBC members coming in. It was a refreshing day. It was a glimmer of hope
So I have a
yesterday.
question.
Uh-huh.
Here's one of my problems with it.
Oh, no, you said a question, not a problem. What's the
Well,
question?
the question is going to present the problem I have with it. I mean, congratulations, yes, to Cory Booker. I have nothing against Cory Booker. I think
Mhm.
what he did, right, and RNG just said it. The problem I have is that while hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people did tune in, and maybe he scored some points that way. Where was this 2 months ago? He's a senator. Where was this 2 months ago when Donald Trump was pushing through all of these unqualified, hateful nominations to his cabinet? Why didn't you filibuster then? There was nothing to filibuster. There was no action being taken. There was no bills on the table. That's when you step in and filibuster. Strom Thurmond filibustered the civil rights bill. You filibuster. Ted Cruz and his 18 plus 20 hour plus filibuster in 2013 was against Obamacare. This was just simply, there was no business going on in the Senate. And I know people are going to get mad because they're going to feel like I'm throwing some cold water on this historic moment. But people are tired of Democrats being just symbolic about stuff. This was great, Cory. And I like Cory,
Mhm.
but where was this 2 months ago when the WWE lady was being made the secretary? Where was this 2 months ago when you had Hesketh with all of the things that
I
was going
mean,
on with him? Where was it?
what does it matter? It happened yesterday or day
It
before
matters.
yesterday. It does not
It
matter. It does
matters.
not. It matters. It matters. It matters now. And if it engaged 100 or 1 million people to be more involved, then it mattered. If it woke people up, it mattered. And we have to talk about the symbolicness of what he did. It was about him breaking the record of a segregationist and the route that we're going. The
I think
route that
people
we're
care about
going
that.
now is to go. It does matter. That matters.
It
Is
may
that
matter. I don't think people care about that too much right
they
now. I think
obviously
we're
they
not in a
care.
moment
They
for
care.
symbolism.
They
We're
care.
not
They
in a
care.
moment for
They care.
symbolism.
They care.
I disagree.
People who did when you have social sites like the Shade Room, Neighborhood Talk, Baller Alert, Jason Lee, when they are putting out this message to this younger generation that doesn't care, it matters. And
Hey,
wait, let me just say
mhm.
this. A lot of times, and I have this conversation with my political friends, elected officials all the time, we tend, Stacy, to operate in a bubble. And because we know, we think that everybody else knows. But for me, this situation was to give the older guard, some of us hope, but to talk to a younger generation and for them to see how the process works. So yeah, he could have did it 2 months ago, but maybe it didn't pop into his mind. Maybe he was trying to figure out what he could do. And I tell you what, after he gave that speech, all of these young social media journalists, he spoke to all of them. I mean, yeah, he spoke to Rachel Maddow last night, but he was talking to all of these TikTok journalists, all of these Facebook and Instagram, because he was getting a message out to them. So maybe yesterday and day before wasn't for us. Maybe it wasn't for you. Maybe it was for a generation that doesn't know the process, doesn't know the history to get them engaged. And if that's the
Let me tell
thing,
you
then
something.
then it works.
I believe it'll matter if somebody else steps up today and do the same thing, and then the next Democrat. That's where it would matter. This one and done stuff. This is the problem people have with Democrats. And people are saying in the chat they agree with you. That's good. They're saying symbolism always matters. Listen, you go ahead with your symbolism. I want some action.
But I don't think it was just symbolism. I think it was a great history lesson for the Gen Zs and the millennials. And like I said, when he left that floor, he went and he spoke to all of them. Jolly,
Mhm.
Aaron, Um, the black girl whose last name is Booker as well. He spoke to all of them. They were outside his office. They were in the gallery where all of the news media. He went to them first. So maybe this wasn't for us. Maybe it was for them.
Well, they could. He could also couldn't they have done something like? Well, that's Congress, but I was going to say, couldn't they have done something like this when they was when they were censuring Representative Al Green? I mean, people say it was action. That's okay. If y'all,
And let's just say this.
if that is what appeases folks in this moment,
It doesn't
so be it.
appease. It is a part of the progress of resistance. Everybody has to play a part. Cory Booker did his part. So instead of questioning what he did, why don't we say, okay, who's
I don't
next?
question what
Who's
he did.
next?
I question
Who's
the
next?
timing. Right. And I said that too, but I also question the timing of it. There's no action going on in the Senate.
Well, now we got action yesterday. Guess what? There was no action, but guess what? He brought it. And at one point,
the point of a filibuster is if you disagree with a law that is being passed or being considered, you stand up there and you do what he did. There's no action,
but no, the
laws
action
going on.
The action is to resist the Trump administration clan. Okay, that's what it was for.
That's my point. That goes to my point, though. That goes directly to my point. Do it when it matters. Do it when it matters, not just when your constituents are watching.
I don't think it was just his. It wasn't just his constituents that were watching.
I think it was mostly his constituents. The
No,
Democrats.
are you crazy? No. At one point, it was 150 million people. One of the senators said it. At one point, his live had 150 million people engaging. It's only 300 million in the United States, he said. So it matters. It might not matter to the bubble. It doesn't matter to the bubble. It doesn't matter to people who are into politics. It doesn't matter to some of them, but it matters to the larger picture.
Right. I just wish that he would have done it when it mattered, when it really mattered.
It matters
when it had
now.
Some when it could have
had
matters
some now. It matters now. And hopefully his colleagues will take note and do more.
That's the point. That's another part of the point.
Okay, we'll say his colleagues need to step up, but he stepped up.
Yeah, it can't be. Let's applaud Cory and then go back to business as usual. It can't be, because then it shows once again, the feckless, backboneless Democrats doing nothing. Right? They have to follow this up. It would be nice to see the next, as they say, next man up. Next man up.
Right. Nice. And let's see. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Well,
I mean, it's been a few hours since Cory. Somebody else should have been ready to step in, is my point.
But I think y'all, the symbolicness of where our country is and looking at what this Trump Klan administration is doing, and to know that he beat the record of Strom Thurmond, who in 1957 was filibustering against the Civil Rights Act. The symbolicness of that is more than enough. Now let somebody else come and do something. But what he did set in motion everything that's going on in our country, from them trying to take away American history, which is Black history. It was brilliant. It was important. And now you have to keep the ball rolling. I'm with you 100%, Stacy. I'm with you 100%. We have to keep the ball rolling.
Right. It's not going to mean a thing if they don't. It's not going to mean anything.
I don't think that
you and others, like learning to love myself, is saying it does.
It matters.
It matters. I will give you that. It matters for the moment. But here we are. We're a couple hours away. We're a few hours out from Cory stepping off that podium. Where was the next man? What? Give me breaking Strom's record. Okay, how about taking his name out of that chamber? Then show me something by taking his name out of that chamber.
Well,
that chamber's named after Strom Thurmond.
The president just signed. The Trump just signed an executive order saying that we're not doing that no more. So that's not going to happen. Okay?
I know that, and that's where I would be impressed. You want to impress me? Like Eddie Murphy said about Stevie Wonder with all the singing and stuff. He said, "You want to impress me? Take the wheel. You know, take the wheel."
Okay, well, you might not be impressed, but there is a whole world out there that
And that
is
matters
impressed.
most. I agree.
And no,
That matters more.
and not only that, but there was a historical history lesson that, like I said, when I saw these blogging websites and when I saw all those young bloggers, him giving them the opportunity to talk to him, to express how they felt about it, for him to respond and say the importance of it. I think that matters because we have a situation where we have a younger generation who is not that moved by voting because our ancestors did. So if he's found a way to find a connection with them for them to understand the importance of what's happening and their participation, then it matters. If you see black people showing up on Saturday, then that means that he touched the chord. I think we still on the fence about it, but I think that he's motivated a lot of people to pay attention to what's happening and to get involved. I really do.
I agree with RNG. Tommy Tuberville held up General Brown's confirmation for months. He didn't spend 24 hours talking.
Okay, well,
The
that was his tactic.
let's
Okay,
right. Let's
everybody does what
and
they
this is the
can.
right, but this is the point though. And I talked about this yesterday with Tavis Malley. Um, as much as they have these hateful policies and this hateful ways, these MAGA people, these Republicans, Mitch McConnell got his way even when they were in the minority. He got his way. He was gangster. Republicans have been chasing Roe v. Wade. They never gave up for 40 plus 50 years, and they finally got it. These
Right.
guys, this is what I'm saying. These Democrats, if they want to, they they got to stop this. When they go low, we go high business. That we out of that business. That business ended,
And that's
right?
true. And we have, but see, a movement has different
Mhm.
players. You have
Right.
agitators. You would consider Jasmine Crockett an agitator, a provocateur. That's what she does. Then you
Mhm.
have people like, with some question, Hakeem Jeffries. He's playing the game of politics and he's staying within the lines. Then you have those that might go protest. Everybody has a part to play. Everybody can't do what Jasmine is doing. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Everybody can't do what Cory Bush did. Everybody has to play their part. And just because the position you would play is not the position Cory played, it doesn't take away from the significance of what he did. And that's all I'm saying. Everybody has a part to play. So he did
Mhm.
his part. Now somebody got to come behind him and do his. Somebody got to go and support Jasmine and be on her team. We all have a part to play.
So what are you learn something every day, and especially when again, I had the privilege of speaking with and being on his show yesterday, Tavis Malley,
Okay.
and he said it begins with a moment, the moment, then you get momentum, and then you have a movement. He said he called it the three M's.
Okay.
Yesterday was a moment. The 25 hours and 5 minutes was a moment. Um, So let's see some momentum. And and
Well,
and right now in my book, I know it's early, but in my book, the momentum is not there yet. It's not. They failed already, in my opinion, because somebody should
mm,
have been back there. That 25 hours, somebody else should be doing 20 hours, and then somebody
mhm.
after them can do as much. It's
And
nothing.
and some people would say that that wasn't the moment. Maybe that wasn't the moment. Maybe that was part of the movement.
Well,
So
no. If you
I
go
mean,
by,
that wasn't the moment. That was part of the movement. We've
but if
been
you
we
go
we've
by
been
the
moving this thing since he got in office. Jasmine Crockett might
well,
have started the moment. She might have started the moment, and he's part of the movement. What if I see it like that?
okay. Hey, everybody could. This is why, right? Everybody can see it the way they want to see it, the way they see it. I see it differently, and I already, in my opinion, and Dr. Jones says it was not a failure. I'm not calling it a failure. I just said it was mistimed. It could have been done at a different time when it had some real teeth. is what I would say.
See, that's what I'm saying. So what if Jasmine was the moment? He's part of the movement. And then maybe when there is something, somebody's going to do that. We don't know what their next move is. I think that this is part of the motion. And to just to be so dismissive about it is just wild to me.
Well, listen, has the Democrats given you a reason not to be dismissive?
Well, that's why yesterday and day before brought hope, because it's like, okay, well,
That's
maybe
all they
we
ever
get
offer
some
is a
motion.
bucket of
We
hope.
get some motion. No, not only that. Okay, so let's take it a step further. So he did that, and then yesterday, Elon Musk got a slap in the face.
Right. And
You know
that's
what I'm saying?
because
So that's
I believe
motion. That's
I
motion.
don't believe that the two were connected. I don't believe the two were connected. The Wisconsin and what Cory, but I don't think that was connected at all.
It's part of the movement. Anything that has to do with the movement is forward to change what's happening in Congress, to resist Donald Trump. So it's all a part of the movement, Stacy. I'm not saying that people went and voted because of Cory Bush. What I'm saying is it's all part of the movement. And it's all what you call momentum.
See, learning the young lady who's posted on Learning to Love Myself says it had teeth. Regular people are feeling hopeless. This brought hope. I don't want a bucket of hope. Give me some tangible stuff.
No. See, because when you hope, Barack Obama wrote a book that was inspired by the great Reverend Jeremiah. No, let me say.
Let us down.
Which was inspired by the great Reverend Jeremiah Wright. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Who Obama proceeded to lock out of the White House.
That's not what I'm saying. You talk about hope. Don't give you a bucket of hope. I'm talking about the power of hope. Barack Obama told me this. What inspired his book was a sermon that he heard by Jeremiah Wright. Mm-hmm. Obama talked about the audacity of hope. Whether you agree with how he handled his presidency, the bottom line is hope got him into the office. So never negate the power of hope. The Bible also says hope deferred makes the heart sick. So I understand, it says it in Proverbs. So I understand that your heart is sick, Stacy.
No, it's not. I'm speaking only as a journalist here. I'm speaking not personally. This stuff I'm only speaking as a journalist.
You tired of a bucket of hope? Okay,
right.
Hope
I'm speaking
makes
from
the heart sick.
I'm speaking from a journalist. I just want to be clear, from a journalism perspective, and talking to people, being in the streets, being on these interviews and stuff like that. Folks don't want just this idea that you're tickling my ears.
But that's not what hope is. Hope is a glimmer of like the light at the end of the tunnel. You know what I'm saying? And for so long, since Donald Trump has been in office, people haven't seen a glimmer of light. So hope is powerful. Like I said, it got Barack Obama, whether you liked his tenure in office or not. Hope is what drove a country to do the unthinkable and elect a Black man to office. And that power of hope can still be what helps us turn the tide in this racist nation that we have found ourselves living in today.
You know that saying, if I knew then what I know now. Mm-hmm. Do you think Barack Obama, if he could have foresaw everything that we're seeing today, do you think he would have handled his presidency differently?
100%. 100%.
Okay.
I agree. Not everything, because he did do some things, but I think he would have been more intentional about the things he did for people of color, because he was focused on being the president of the United States. Mm-hmm. So what's good for Black people is going to be good for everybody. But I think in hindsight now, you might have should have painted the red and green room black. A couple of them rooms should have been painted black. We should have did about 50 more executive orders. You know what I'm saying? We should have freed the Black men from prison that was under the Biden Act. We should have did a lot of things. Okay.
What's the Black room? Where's the Black room at?
paint the red room black. Okay, get some black china. Let's do some symbolic things to let them know we was there besides the portraits on the wall. That's all I'm saying.
And now they're removing the portraits. Listen, in other news this morning, and we'll get back to Wisconsin in a moment, but a special prosecutor said he made offers to resolve criminal cases against, we'll get to that. Okay, let's get to the question first
The pop
before we get
quiz.
to
We got to do our
the
pop
pop quiz.
quiz.
Yeah.
Okay,
She
what we got?
died. Go ahead. Go ahead. You go.
Oh, you want me to do it? She died
Yeah.
at age 34 during a practice flight for an air show when her plane malfunctioned and she fell from the aircraft.
Good Lord.
And so this is a Jeopardy question. So who is?
Who is? Y'all put the answers in the chat. Wow.
She
Wait,
died
I
at
might
age
know this one. Yeah,
34.
I know this one.
Okay, so let's do it again. She
But
died at
yeah.
age 34
Mhm.
during a practice flight for an air show when her plane malfunctioned and she fell from the aircraft.
Yeah, I know this one.
It's
Okay. Put
tragic.
the answers in the chat. Yeah, that
That's
is
tragic.
A special prosecutor said he made offers to resolve criminal cases against 10 New York prison guards indicted in the beating death of a handcuffed black man. 6 correctional officers were charged with murder last month in the December death of Robert Brooks, who was 43 years old and whose brutal beating was captured on body-worn cameras. 3 other prison employees were charged with manslaughter and another with evidence tampering. The offers were publicly revealed during a pretrial court conference. They they've been charged with second-degree manslaughter, and among other things. This, as you guys, everyone might remember, they had this handcuff. They was transferring this prisoner, and for some odd reason, still unexplained, they decided to beat him to death while he was handcuffed. And
Sounds
it's
like Freddie Gray and from over in the DMV. I mean, yeah,
in
the
Baltimore.
DMV.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. This guy, he had been serving a 12-year prison sentence for first-degree assault since 2017, and they just decided to assassinate this guy, and we still don't know why.
And under this current administration, the Department of Justice is not going to do anything about it.
Right, 100%, 100%. It's so tragic. Again, our hearts go out to the family of Mr. Brooks. This is, prisoners. No matter what you think of a convict, they have rights too, and they certainly have. They were not sentenced. In this case, Brooks was not sentenced to death, and those prison guards became the executioners.
Now, is this a privatized prison or is this a
No,
state
this is a
prison?
state prison. This is a state prison. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, wow.
It sounds like New
incredible.
York has a prison problem, though. Just this week, New York fires 2,000 prison guards
Well,
after a wild card strike.
Yeah, and that was loosely, not directly, but loosely connected to this, right? Part of what the strike was, they don't want officers to be taken off the job who commit these type of crimes, the union. Now, I will say this much.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I will say this much. The great attorney who, my guy, my buddy, Joey Jackson, Joey Jackson's the best legal analyst on television on CNN.
Okay.
Joey is he's a big staunch supporter and defender of corrections officers. And I would love to get Joey's take. I have not spoken to him, and now that we're talking about it, I got to reach out to Joey because I'd love to get his take on this. I don't watch CNN anymore. I've stopped watching CNN a long time ago. So he probably has given his take on this, but I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, because they're saying that it was after a wild card strike, and they were striking because of working conditions and deteriorating conditions within the prison system. So it just sounds like New York has a really bad prison problem, as well as California, because this story about the woman we talked about last week, Mule Creek, that was
Mhm.
strangled, comes to find out there was another woman maybe 4 months
Right, it
earlier,
was
the
last
same
last
thing.
summer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
last summer.
so what's going on with our prison systems?
Yeah, that's some now that's some, as they say in the trade, that's some crazy work right there. How do you strangle someone during a conjugal visit? I mean, it's like, how do you
Because you
get mad enough to take somebody out, your spouse during a conjugal visit?
And the thing about it, I mean, they're lifers, so what do they have to lose? They're not
Uh,
getting out anyway.
And that's where California makes the mistake. Why are you giving somebody who is there uh, on other murder charges? Why, convicted of murder or manslaughter, whatever it was, these individuals were convicted of? Why are you giving them this privilege? And folks understand, if you missed that story, understand that these visits are not happening in the prison cell itself. They actually, in this particular prison in California, they have these apartment-like
Modules.
structures,
Yeah.
mod, which they are not monitored.
Well, no, they
Pretty
are
much,
monitored.
well,
They said that it was 10 hours since the last time one of the
right,
guards has seen one of the victims. So
right,
they do monitor the situation, but there's a certain level of
right,
freedom that they have. Yeah.
and these are people who have the record that these guys have. Oh gosh, and there's Mr. Brooks' situation there, and that's just one of the most awful things you'll see in every single one of these guys. He's handcuffed. He's shackled. Mm, mm, mm.
It's wild.
Yeah. I'm going to switch gears, Niele, because I like this story. And I'm going to tell you why. It's probably going to be obvious why I like this story, because Dr. Gene Caseo, um, he is the Africa he's Africa's CDC head,
Mm,
Centers for Disease Control
okay.
and Prevention head. And Trump announced that he was freezing all foreign aid to, like, U.S. aid and Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and stuff like that, which is absurd, of course.
Mm,
And Dr. Caseo first said he thought it was a joke, and he says then we realized it was not. And so what happened was they had to move to cover the cost of keeping not just Africa, but folks throughout the continent in the, I mean, 50 some odd countries healthy, but everybody
mhm,
outside of that too, right?
mhm,
So in 2024, last year alone, you got to understand that sub-Saharan Africa received about 13 billion in U.S. foreign assistance, and a figure that climbs higher when accounting for U.S.-backed global health programs where African nations are primary beneficiaries. So the decision by Trump left leaders across the continent scrambling, and
mm,
Dr. Castillo says that African leaders will call him everywhere. And what can we do? Well, they put together programs and things of that nature to show that they are self-sufficient. They got some partners, that the African Society for Laboratory Medicine, or ASLM, and the Mastercard Foundation,
mhm,
and they launched this Saving Lives and Livelihood initiative. And they have been ready for any type of pandemic. They have gotten themselves prepared to handle infrastructure and everything else. And here's I'm going to get to the part now. He goes, Africa will be 2.5 billion people in 2015. Right. And this is his message to the US. And I thought, wow, I like this guy. He says in 2015, we'll have about 2.5 billion people. It will be the largest population in the world. And the US, they need that market. They are more middle class people because more Africans are becoming educated and they are making money. My message to my colleagues and friends in the US is we are open. If they are looking for friends, Africa is here.
I
And
love it.
right, right. He's like,
I love
okay,
it.
yep.
We might be going home sooner than we know. Okay. Might be
Right.
going home sooner than we know. I love it.
I loved his statement. He's like, okay, we ain't slaves over here.
And that's a FAFO. Okay. That's another
Yeah,
FAFO.
right. This is not 1600, 1519 or whatever.
And see, this will work two ways for Trump. He'll say, well, I told you that they could be self-sufficient if we took the pacifier out their mouth. But this also shows us that they don't need us. And so what you gonna do when we need them? They gonna
Right.
remember how we treated them. It's not what you do, it's how you do it.
There you
And
go.
that's one of the things that Donald Trump has a huge problem with. It's not immigration reform, it's how you're handling it. That's the problem.
1000%. That's 1000%. And the same thing with these federal firing these federal workers as if they just are meaningless people, or just the inhumane way in which
Right.
they're treating and talking about them. I mean, unbelievable. They don't do any work anyway. They blah blah blah. It's don't even want
Or
to
like you
repeat.
got 10 minutes to get your shit and get out the building.
Yep.
These people have given
Yep.
30 years of their life. You got 10 minutes.
Yeah. Folks went into and Bethesda yesterday morning. FDA folks went in there, reporting to work as usual, and they was met at the door by security, saying your badge card doesn't work anymore, and you stay here. We'll get your stuff. You've been fired. They are disgusting human beings.
Mhm.
So, Dr. Joni says, in a similar vein, you see other countries saying the U.S. is no longer a partner to be trusted, which means they pivot to other countries for trade and goods.
Right.
Um, yeah, it's just Mike V says, when they say go back to Africa, you ain't got to tell me twice.
Man, I'm trying to get over there now.
Uh, Unbelievable, but I good big ups to Dr. Kitsia, the
Yeah.
the Africa's head of the Centers for Control and Prevention. Very, very, very cool stuff.
Sometimes you force people into greatness. And that's what Donald Trump is
There
doing.
you go.
He's forcing us all into greatness. I was having a couple of conversations yesterday for some guests for next week. And I was just so hope. When I was talking to a couple of my girlfriends, one of them worked at HUD with Marsha Fudge. She was on the Kamala Harris campaign, and I was asking her how she's doing. She said, well, right now, I'm taking baths in the afternoon, going to the gym, taking my nieces to get ice cream. She said, and I really haven't turned my TV on, Niele. She said, I'm not even really ready to get back out there. She said, but life is good for me. And I was like, that's what I'm talking about. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
There you go. There you
Nobody's
go.
rushing to save America. We've done that. And we have done well enough to where we have time to decide to make some choices. That's not for everybody, but that
Right.
just brought me some hope yesterday.
Look at you. Look at you and your hope.
Hey,
Hope
I
springs
know.
eternal.
Okay, hey, it'll make you sick or it'll spring eternal. It depends on which day of the week it is.
Right. So it was mentioned a little bit earlier in Wisconsin. You know, the Democrats did prevail in that Supreme Court, all important Supreme Court race, and Florida, of course. Florida, they lost, of course, as to be expected. But what was not expected was how close the Florida races were. These were areas. These are deeply, deeply MAGA areas in which these races were extremely competitive, and it's just another example to show how folks even on the other side of who thought MAGA was going to do something for them. They're tired.
Right, right,
They're
right.
worn out too.
Hmm.
Because to have a race in Florida where Trump won by 40 points, to have it come down to, I think it was like 4 point differential in the Democratic opponent, and the MAGA Republican opponent, and then in Wisconsin, Elon Musk. And so folks, they don't want, Trump doesn't want black folks giving out water at the election sites, but Elon
Right.
Musk stand there giving out thousands
Million
of
dollar
dollars.
check. No, million
And
dollar check.
no, well, I was going to say there was two he gave $1 million to.
Right.
But in other places he was like offering that $1,000, and yet that's okay. And that still didn't get enough coverage, if you ask me.
Right. But I
Um,
think, like, when we were talking about the symbolism of it all, Cory Booker, the symbolism of what happened in Wisconsin with Elon Musk literally showing you that he's trying to buy an election and the power of the people won. The symbolicness of it all is what is important to watch, to see happen in Wisconsin.
mhm.
Susan being able to beat the machine.
Yeah, she had to beat the machine, because it was a machine. And the fact that this guy was throwing all this money around, literally trying to buy the election there, and they pushed back.
Right.
They pushed back. Yeah, the Wisconsin State Attorney General did sue Elon Musk over this, but he did not prevail. And this is why folks wonder why he's the co-president and considered the co-president. What Because this is why Trump keeps him around. Um, he All that money
Mhm.
and his willingness to spend it to buy elections.
Right, right, right. And we don't really know what happened in Florida because, there's still questions of what happened with the Kamala Harris Trump election and looking at the states and how they went blue except for the presidency. And so we just don't know if they're being slick. You know what I mean? About, okay, we can't, let them win by a large margin, but we just need to win. So, I mean, I don't trust our election process as much as I did the term before. I'll just say that.
Oh, it's a shame that you have to say that, and folks will understand why you say that, and many folks don't anymore. But my point is, it's a shame that Trump took that trust away. It's nobody but Trump who took that trust away, because everybody was fine with,
100%.
nobody really questioned. The only big question was way back in 2000 with Al Gore
Mhm.
and George Bush. But we
Florida,
And
Florida.
that was Florida. That was Florida, right,
So say, hey,
right.
hey,
Yeah, I mean, when
hey.
you have close elections that are contested, they do a runoff, not a runoff, but a recount, and everybody up until 2020, everybody accepted the results.
Right,
There was no, because Al Gore didn't have to accept those results. In the end, he did, when really we know what happened. And history tells you that he won the election.
right.
And that's why, again, Lauren Underwood, the congresswoman out of Illinois, I just really just disappointed. I am very disappointed in her.
I like
Like I
Lauren. I love what she's doing for
just,
Black women and the
yeah.
momney and
But I was just,
maternal.
yeah,
Yeah,
I was
love it.
just disappointed in her dismissive nature, and the suggestion that the 2024 election may not have gone the way we have accepted it going. I mean, to be so dismissive in a time like this is, to me, it's just counterproductive. If her point was that's not going to change anything, I get that, but her dismissive way in that, I just, it sticks in my head. It sticks in
Well,
my head.
she didn't want that to be her sound bite. She
I
wants to
guess not. But she didn't have to speak up either. The question was a general question to several different Congress people that was there. And there was a couple of others who don't necessarily who didn't necessarily agree with her. But to be so forceful, you know, make sure. And I think the point from those other members of the CBC was pretty much in a very kind way. Speak for yourself, Lauren. You know, it's like, come on, sit down with that. And Mike B does mention that Mayor Andrew Gilliam did accept his results without a fight against DeSantis also.
But
But
I want to
anyway,
go back to Judge Susan Crawford, because
yes.
on TikTok it is trending. Where is Kamala Harris? So you have all these Black women on TikTok, you know, letting people understand where Kamala is. She's in her self-care, soft girl era, resting like the rest of Black women. But our former vice president appeared last night, and she put out a video speaking about how happy she was for well, she posted about Cory Booker. She did a post about that, but then she actually let out a video message. I don't know if we have it, about, you know, congratulating Susan Crawford and congratulating the people, because everybody saw hope yesterday, whether it's Wisconsin, whether it was on Capitol Hill. It was just something to see the glimmer of light that we all looking for. Now, what we do with it, they go, I don't know. I don't know.
A
But
glimmer of hope.
Forward. Yeah.
Well, so let it be known, quickies.
Are you ready for him? You ready for
I'm
him?
ready.
Okay. So today, Reverend Al Sharpton kicks off the 2025 National Action Network Convention. And it's kicking off with a fireside chat with Maryland Governor Wes Moore. Other attendees and speakers are, this is an interesting one, Mayor Eric Adams. You have civil rights attorney Ben Crump, Don Lemon, CEO of Planned Parenthood, Alexis McGill. I know Lala Anthony. Albie Shore is going to be there. So many people,
Tatiana.
so many voices. Freeway Rick, Jamal Bryan will be there. Michael Steele, Simone Sanders.
You're honoring Patti LaBelle.
Yeah, Patti LaBelle, Michael Eric Dyson. Representative Al Green will be there. Stacey Abrams, we were talking about her yesterday. So the Black Convention meeting is happening in New York starting today.
Look at that. The National Action Network. Tatiana Ali.
Well, yeah, she'll be there.
That's a that's
and her anxiety. Have you seen that scene from Fresh Prince, Anxiety? Rapper Doechii did a song Anxiety, but she actually started back up the trend of Tatiana Ali and Will Smith in that anxiety scene from the Fresh Prince. So she's Tatiana Ali is trending now as well.
Lauren G says Marvin Sapp will be there with a collection plate.
As he should, because we need the buses for the protest whenever we plan it.
No.
Okay.
Oh my.
You could just check out nationalactionnetwork.net if you want to stream it, if you want to find out how to stream it. They have some really important panels. I know mothers of the movement, individuals that have family members killed by police officers. Ben Crump does that every year. So you have that conversation going on. You have the fireside chat with Wes Moore. So it's a lot going on. So visit nationalactionnetwork.net if you want to tune in and see what's happening with the convention this year. And more, let's hop over to some TV news. Okay. Mm-hmm. So Netflix has ordered a sequel pilot for A Different World. I think that's pretty cool. They just brought the series back on Netflix, and I've already finished it. I've watched all 6 seasons, and I remembered why this show, because it's like my background. And so I love The Different World. So now we have the sequel coming, and it's going to follow the life of Dwayne and Whitley's daughter. And so she's going to have the Black college experience. Now, when they tried to do this before, Stacy, Jasmine Guy wasn't with it. She was like, I'm over Whitley. I'm not trying to bring her back. So it'll be interesting to see if she's going to participate in the.
Yeah. Do we know if any of them going to participate?
It doesn't say yet. It doesn't say yet.
Okay.
But I'm
But they did
sure
that tour.
everybody likes a check.
Yeah, right. I was going to say they did that tour. You know, last year, a year
The
before,
HBCU tour. Mhm.
and you would think that that is in part what inspired this.
Right, right. But I also think too, the ratings from them putting it on Netflix, I think that contributed a lot too. Like if people are
Right.
tuning in, yes, I know they want to see more, and we would love to see some of the recurring characters. I fell in love with Whitley again. I forgot how funny she was. She was hilarious on that show. Jasmine Guy, I mean, phenomenal on the show. Dwayne was good. I would love to see the Colonel come back. What's his name? Glenn Truman? Is that his name?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I would love to see his character. I want to see him on Jada Pickett Smith. That's where she first. That was like one of her first major
You know
roles.
what would be fantastic? I don't know what his condition is. And I last I heard he was improving a little bit. It would be great that that would be the comeback of Sinbad.
Yeah, it would be good to see him. Because what I need to go back because like I say, I use it as background. But see, Jaleesa used to date Sinbad's character, right?
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
forgot how they broke up, but then she ended up marrying Glenn Truman and having a baby,
Mhm.
the Colonel.
Mhm.
So I have to go back and figure out, see how that happened. I kind of chimed in and I was like, wait a minute, she was just with Sinbad. So yeah, it's a lot going
Mhm.
on. I would like to see all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm hoping for the best for Sinbad that he continues on his road to
Hmm.
recovery. Um,
Yeah.
uh,
So
th-
I go ahead.
I'm sorry. First, Dr. Joni says, "Is it the original show that's on Netflix now?" Yes, and Tricky says,
Hmm.
"Leave it alone. Just put on the repeats."
Yeah.
Um,
All six
a lot of
seasons are
people.
there. All
Mhm.
6 seasons.
He says, Niele, Mike V says, instead of Netflix and chill, we need Niele and remember. What?
Remember what? What am I
Listen,
remembering? Put it in the chat. I need to know.
put
I
it in
need
the
to know.
chat.
But let's talk a little more about HBCU, real HBCUs. You know, Hillman is fictitious. Let's talk about some real
Hillman
HBCUs.
talk is not fictitious.
Well,
We talk about Hillman
yeah,
talk.
it is and it isn't because it's not.
I
Well,
know, I
it's a
know.
wait, it's a couple HBCUs that aren't accredited. So you know, you're
Oh.
right. It's a couple. Um, but speaking of HBCU news, we had Dr. Wes Bellamy on, who just launched this year the March Madness HBCU tournament. But the HBCU All-Star Games, they've scored a new streaming home on Peacock. And it happens this weekend. So the HBCU All-Star Games will now air on Peacock. This is huge.
Mhm.
And the All-Star Games will include the top 24 men and women players from HBCUs nationwide. And so it's going to be interesting because they will be competing with March Madness.
Mm-mm.
But you know, that's still a huge win for them to land a deal with Peacock.
Absolutely, absolutely, and good for them. It's about time they land a deal with somebody. Put it that way.
Right, right,
I
right, right.
mean, they should have been picked up. So come on,
Right,
let's
right, right,
let's
right, right.
cut the nonsense. But speaking of which, though, um, you haven't given any updates on since dawn on the Final Four.
Oh,
Is
Final
is there anything new?
Four. No, I mean, we're just down to the teams and we could talk about it. Of course, USC got knocked out
Hmm.
to UConn. Love UConn. You know, Paige Beckers is my favorite white girl. You know, she redeems all
Right.
the Karens for me. But I think what
I got
USC
issues.
USC, what we identified is that Juju is the glue of the team because they've
Okay.
lost, you know, maybe about by 10 points, but we know Juju averages about 20. So just imagine if Juju would have been in the game. Okay, it would have been totally different ball game. But nonetheless, USC did a great game, and they have went further than they ever had before these past 2 years. So shout out to them. I know UCLA advances. So we'll see what happens with that. And of course, Don Staley in South Carolina, they're in the mix. And Texas is in the mix. So we'll see those young ladies play on Friday. And I couldn't even tell you what the men are doing. So maybe Orange G can put it in the chat. I don't know. But Paige, that's my white girl. Love that little girl. She got rhythm. She has empathy, and she rocks for. She is what you call in the movement an ally. Okay, Paige Beckers is an ally.
So on Friday, it's South Carolina versus Texas at 7 p.m. Eastern, and then it's followed by UCLA versus UConn at 9:30 p.m.
And I'm going with
ESPN.
UConn. I'm going with UConn. Sorry, I love Paige. I love that team. KK, love them all. And then of course I'm going with Don Staley in South Carolina.
Well, there you have it. There you have it.
Those are my picks.
HBCU All-Star Game is symbolic, says Orange G. The NBA has no interest in those young black men because they attended the HBCU, and that's a shame. That's a crying shame. Who is losing their black card today? And again, why do we always have contenders? It'd be nice if we didn't have any, right?
Yeah, it would be nice, but you know.
But before we get to that, obviously, well, apparently, I should say, we are going to get to the.
We have a tease, a hint rather.
Yeah,
we have a hint. We have a hint.
Yep. So, she died at age 34. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
During a practice flight for an air show when her plane malfunctioned and she fell from the aircraft. That is just hard to even hear again.
Right.
Annual flyovers are held over her grave in Chicago by Black pilots. Wow.
What's the chat saying?
Yeah, what y'all saying? What somebody said? Gina Stewart said Bessie Smith. Wow, they have an annual flyover, huh?
I'm going with you, Gina. I'm going with you, Gina. I'm going. You say Bessie Smith, I'm riding with you because I have no other options.
Somebody said Amelia Earhart. It's not that. It's not her.
She's white, right?
Right. This is you ever watch Saturday Night Live? They have Black Jeopardy. This is Black trivia. This is Black trivia.
wait. Greer said Bessie Smith was a blues singer.
So everybody's wrong.
Gina, I'm not rolling with you.
That would be quite the answer. It's not Bessie Smith. So
no, she was a blues singer.
She could have gotten an airplane at some point. She could have flew a plane. Bessie Coleman is probably what they meant when they said Bessie Smith.
Okay.
So anyway, all right. So who is losing their black card today? This is it's always an easy one. When this name, you all agree, Harris Faulkner, Fox News. She probably lost it a long time ago, but we officially taking it away. She slammed her latest act of self-hate. She slammed those who worked all their lives and now are retired, but their 401k plans are taking a big hit because of Donald Trump's tariffs, trade wars, and his bad policies. And doing her master's bidding, she shamelessly suggested that the quote 401k people, those retirees, just have to suck it up while dear leader Trump and his tariffs cause severe financial hardship because of. She says they should suck it up because of patriotism.
Oh, her. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
She turned that gaslighting up a whole nother notch. She's a disgrace.
Harpo, who this woman? Who this woman? I don't know this woman.
Right.
I don't know.
She don't know herself. Her long neck. She don't know herself.
But I think a lot of Black people find themselves in this Trump space because they get the attention that they're seeking.
Oh, she's also Fox News.
Yeah.
She's got a couple of masses that she got to make sure that she keeps happy. So, when she went to the NABJ, they a lot. This is why I can't mess with homeboy at NABJ. Y'all can have him, but to bring her and put her at center stage there with Trump was absolutely bad enough having him, but then to have her, oh my gosh, I can't mess with him at all.
Oh, well, that was the
And
balancing
she's not
act,
even a
right?
member of the NABJ, right? Greer,
Hilarious.
that's a great point. She's not even a member of the NABJ.
But I think
Yeah.
that was the balancing act, though. The tap dance. That was the tap dance.
Well, it's like, why have it? Why have it at all? And yeah, Mike V, that's no surprise who she's married to. Oh my gosh. Yeah, she will forever. Omarosa worked she worked to get her black card back.
Greer is saying you can't. She's not even a member. Yeah, you can't do that. They broke the rules. Greer is saying they broke the rules because you can't really do that if you're not a member. So she's
Right.
saying that the NABJ broke the
That's why I
rules
said I
to
can't. What's
accommodate Trump.
yeah, the NABJ president, whatever. Yeah, yeah, you will not get 1 cent of dues from me. That was it.
Mhm.
I'm done with them.
Now, what do you think about the president of the White House Correspondents Association? I mean, he folded too.
He folded like a cheap suit, it's just folks like that. In fact, he's a contender to have his black card taken away. But
No.
give me a
Isn't
what
he the
what is he?
first
What's this?
openly member of the queer community to be
Yeah, and
president?
and I'm sure they ready to revoke his card too.
I
They
mean, well, he
ready.
has a lot at stake right now. I know that he has a new show on MSNBC.
Oh,
So,
yes.
there's a lot of politicking going on with that.
Mm, mm, mm,
I
mm.
really wish the journalists would boycott the dinner, though. I really wish they would
But here's the thing: who are you boycotting,
show
though?
up, but I guess they have jobs.
Who are you boycotting? Because the
The
administration is not
president.
going to be there. He's not going to be there. Nobody in the administration is going to be there.
Well, then the association. Well, then you're boycotting the association. Why would you even cancel her if they're not going to be there?
Right.
Why would you
That makes it
cancel
even
her?
worse. That makes it worse.
Right. So
The
don't
Trump
go.
has already spoken long before they made this decision. He said that they were not showing up for this. They have no interest in this.
And this was on my bucket list. This was one of the dinners on my bucket
Really?
list. Now, yeah, and I was like, working with the Black Press USA more closely, I was like, ooh, I'm close. But then when Donald Trump became president, it was like, I don't want to go. So I'm glad at least I made it to the White House with you guys. Okay. Even if it was on the lawn, I made it to the White House
Greer
before.
says you can have her ticket.
Oh no, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I don't want to go.
Mm. Listen, this is extremely hilarious, diabolical, if you will. RNG says Omarosa belongs in Magic City on the center stage, dancing with his hood friend Miss Thunder. What?
Okay, that was random. You know, no, Omarosa has came back over and she's even been invited
She,
to some of the cookouts again.
yeah, she has
She's
returned
turned
home.
around. Yeah, she has come
Ever
home.
ever since she told people they were gonna kiss the ring, they were gonna bow down. She said, "Y'all gonna bow down." I'll never forget when she
I've
said that.
seen
It was
her at a
like,
couple of cookouts. So, she's
yeah,
accepted again in the community.
but not by everybody.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying I've seen her at some cookouts that I was surprised to see her at. So, and she was, working the room. So, hey.
Lauren says, if Eugene put as much time into protecting the First Amendment as he does what he wears to dinners, the White House Correspondents Association would be the strongest organization in the world. Wow. Speaking of diabolical, we have like a couple minutes. I gotta throw this out there. Well, Greer sent me this the other day, and
Uh-huh.
there's something about this. Now, she likes it for one reason. I thought about it in a deeper thing. It has to do with a recorded phone call of Michael Jackson talking about his father Joseph, and apparently Joseph in this moment had asked him for $500,000, and he he obviously didn't want to give his father the money, right?
Mhm.
And a friend of his, he calls up and he's telling her, that and he's making basically he's making fun of his dad. There, let's listen to it.
And he said, "I've been trying to get a hold of you for 3 weeks." Ah. I'm like, "Yeah, what do you want?" "Oh, you got your number changed." I said, "Yeah." "Anyway, what do you want?" He wanted about $500,000. He's like, "Oh, what are you in debt? What did you do now? Why are you in debt this time, Joseph?" Clear this crap on me about, "Well, you must have done, and, like, yeah, I'll pay it back. We can come up with a contract." But he done this before. Yes. All the time. And what did you tell him? I told him, I don't know. I said, "I'll think about it. I'll get back to you." No, I'm not going to do it. You're a grateful child. Oh, I know. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be where you are today. And, That was funny. You can talk, Mom. Stop story. He said, "I've been trying to get a..."
What?
He can suck my socks. But I was thinking the same thing. You wouldn't be where you were if it wasn't for Daddy Joe. That's the first thing that came to my mind.
And he's mimicking he's mimicking Joseph by saying you wouldn't be where you are.
I was
but
thinking that.
but and that's and I and that it's true. But after a while, right? Don't you get? I would imagine he got tired of his dad asking him. Now, let's be clear, folks. I know for a fact that Michael took very good care of his mom, right?
You said
And
his
even in
mom.
death, his
You
mom,
said his
even in
mom.
death, his
Okay,
mom,
his mom.
even in death, right? She lives a very, very comfortable life, to say the least, right? I don't know the situation with Joseph. I know every single month Catherine got a check when Michael was alive, and I know she gets a check a couple times a month now that he's dead. And these are not, Social Security checks, right? I
It's
mean,
the
these
state
are
checks. It's
no,
MJ
it's
state
state,
checks.
right? Exactly. We're talking, if she needs to go grocery shopping, here's 50 grand, right? But but so I don't know the situation with that. I do know that Joseph did hit him up a lot for money, right? He always had some ventures or whatever that he wanted Michael to give him money for. And I think you get tired of, even if it's a parent, you get tired of your parents or anybody constantly, I don't care how much money you have, constantly asking you for money. And so I think he was tired of that. But here's the part, folks, that I thought was diabolical. The person that Michael was talking to took it upon themselves, and probably, I'm going to go out and take that probably off and say, unbeknownst to Michael, recorded that phone call. He obviously trusted you to talk about his dad so freely, to express his frustration with his father. And you, who he thought was somebody he could trust, you recorded that phone call.
Well, I mean, you have to give her credit that she didn't release it until like 10, almost 20 years after he died.
Well, I don't know, because maybe we just finding out about it. But regardless, and I got your point on that, and if that's the case, I agree. But regardless, why are you recording him?
It's Michael Jackson.
So
Oh, Greer has a good point. Did she
right.
blackmail
Is
him
it
though?
black? Right.
I don't think he cared enough. I don't think Michael Jackson would
Oh
pay
no.
anybody.
No. I'm gonna tell
He was
you
afraid
when
of
it
his daddy. He's still okay.
1000%. And
Okay.
if his dad knew about that recording, you can best believe he wrote that $500,000 check.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mm.
Oh, there's no question about. People think about the stories and the movie where Joseph would beat him and stuff like that.
Whoopings.
And that's
Okay,
only
let's not say let's stop the
whoopings.
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 Okay.
Okay. Um, that was something that he was afraid of as an adult. Something he expressed being afraid of as an adult. Um, and so yeah, that was to do that. We don't know what else was said, is what Greer is saying too, and that's true.
Well, here's
Um,
the thing. Here's the thing. Back in the day, yeah, grown folks would still be afraid of their daddy and their grandfather. Because I don't care how grown I got, I was still afraid of Papa.
Still afraid.
You know what I mean?
But
So
it's
that's just common.
diabolical. Yeah. It's like the CIA, man. They when you reach a certain status of celebrity, and even if you're connected with that, you can't trust anybody.
Nobody.
And and here's the thing. I'm sure it was very few people he trusted, and he probably didn't fully trust anybody,
Hmm.
but nobody could trust him. Nobody could trust him either.
What do you mean?
It's a
Why couldn't you trust? Why couldn't you trust Michael Jackson? What would Mike? Why couldn't you trust? I would trust Michael Jackson. I
I'm
just
glad
wouldn't
you
drink
would.
that. I wouldn't drink the milk in the Pepsi. That's all. I wouldn't drink the Jesus juice. I wouldn't drink the Jesus juice.
Oh my God, this
But I
girl
would
is
trust him for
diabolical.
everything.
This this girl, you're the diabolical one here. She
I
wouldn't
wouldn't
drink the
drink
milk.
the Jesus juice, that he was
Oh,
doing, but
oh
I
my
would trust
God.
Michael Jackson. Okay.
Let me tell you something. Don't trust anybody in that world. You don't trust anyone in that world. And they don't trust anybody. People in that status don't trust anybody, and they're not to be trusted either.
So you don't
If
think
you
Beyonce trust or Jay-Z, they don't trust anybody?
I doubt it. I think they trust themselves, each other, and I don't know them at all, but I don't if I had to guess, I 100% believe that the only people they trust is themselves. I
Right.
don't
Well,
think
I
they
mean, I
fully
think
trust
that's why,
anybody,
but I think that's why, like in this day and time,
nor
people
should
have
they.
NDAs. So they
You
most of the time when they have people come around them, they have them sign NDAs. I
Yeah,
mean,
but
and you still take a chance, but for the most part, if
yeah.
somebody is signing an NDA, they're not talking.
Listen, so the only time I ever signed a NDA is anytime I went to Neverland. They made you sign an NDA before you went in. Um, but other than that, I remember Jermaine wanted me to sign one, and I refused. Stevie wanted me to sign one, I refused. I just don't. But I wanted to go to Neverland, so I signed. You get to
Okay,
that,
there's
and
something that'll make you sign.
well,
Beyonce
you.
say, "Come on, I'm signing an NDA, a PDA, and a
Mhm.
CDA." Okay, I'm signing it all.
Well, you gotta understand, like, Neverland is so far away from, like, San Fernando Valley in LA, right? You out there in no man's land. You take that long drive out there, you in the desert, and it's like, it's no turning back.
But it's
I
Michael
came here to spend the week
Jackson.
here.
It's not. It's
Well,
Michael Jackson. It's Neverland. You sign the NDA.
I was like, I sat next the first time I went to Neverland, and they brought out the NDA, and I was like, "I ain't signing that." And the security guard, he got on the walkie-talkie and stuff, and Joseph's in the car too, and Catherine. It's like, you really don't want to sign that? I'm like, I don't really want to sign it. It's like, they're probably not going to let you in, and it's a long way back to LA. And I was like, you know what, I'll sign it. And I think I went to Neverland about 10, 11 times, and
Did
each
you have
time
to sign it each time, or was
each
one is
time,
sufficient? Oh, okay.
each time, yeah. And that's the other thing. I know his brothers would always say all the time, especially Jackie. Jackie would always say, "Hey, you going up to the ranch?" I'm like, "Yeah." Don't use the phones. Don't use his own brothers. Don't use the phones.
So, are you still in contact with the Jackson family?
Nah, nah.
Why
Mm-mm.
not?
And so we don't have enough time,
Okay,
and we
well,
don't
give
need
us
the
the
boy.
short story. Give us the short story.
I don't even want to get involved.
Okay.
I don't
Oh,
even.
well,
But
y'all.
we did do. Gri and I did. We were contracted by Michael's estate to do a feature on his show in Vegas this past December, and
Mhm.
it was absolutely phenomenal. The Michael Jackson one, it was absolutely phenomenal.
Okay.
And so
So
I
you talked
enjoyed
to the
that.
state. You talked to the state, but not the family.
Right, right. And so we had a
Inquiring
great time.
minds want to know, Stacy.
Anyway, We got some black.
So now I know how to make you move along. Just say what happened with the Jacksons. I got it. Thank you. Thank you.
Dr. Marilyn, no, the NDA was only for what may or may not have gone on at Neverland. It wasn't for anything outside of that. Let's get to some Black history moments.
Okay.
On this
One more
date.
question though. Did you drink any
Mhm.
Jesus juice?
No, I'm not a wine person.
Okay.
But I will tell you this: Neverland was stocked with some good stuff.
Okay.
The best scotch, if you are, because I'm a scotch drinker, the best tequila and everything else. It was
Okay.
stocked.
All right.
So there you go. So on this date in 1984, Georgetown coach John Thompson becomes the first Black coach to win the NCAA basketball tournament. And he had the man with him. There he is, number 33, Patrick Ewing. But John Thompson was a giant, not just in stature, physical stature, but he was a giant of a coach, of a man at Georgetown. Folks just love some John Thompson, and
Hmm.
understandably why. Yeah.
Nice, nice. All right. And we have one more Black history moment on this date in 2019. Lori Lightfoot was elected as the first female African American mayor of Chicago.
Wow, Lori Life, and she investigated what's that mayor
Oh,
Tiffany Tiffany over there in Illinois there Henyard.
oh
She
yeah.
investigated her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lori was not playing around with that investigation. What that investigation was it just yielded stuff and oh, that's why
Yeah.
she
It's
got
it's a
kicked
lot.
out.
Politics in Chicago are wild. We know that.
Yeah,
We
we
know
have
that
learned
firsthand.
without question. Orange
Firsthand.
says we all thought Georgetown was an HBCU. Right. He's absolutely right. That team had more Black people on it than the Harlem Globetrotters back in the 80s. Right. I thought I thought Georgetown was an HBCU. He's absolutely right.
Oh,
No, shucks, isn't that something? Well, our Black-owned newspaper of
wait,
the
we have to
day.
do the pop quiz. We got to get
Oh, okay.
back to the pop
I
quiz.
keep getting
Follow
ahead
the
of myself.
script. Stacy, the script. We got a script.
I know I don't follow orders too well.
Come on. The script
I have
helps
to be
us move
forced.
the show.
I have to be forced into following directions.
Okay, well, come on. We forcing this. Greer, what we got? What we got? What's
All
the
right.
question? What's the Jeopardy Black
Here
Pop
we go.
Quiz question of the day?
Here we go.
Greer?
I know, right? Drum
Greer?
roll.
Keep up with us, Greer. All right.
Trying to get
So
rid
the
of
question,
us.
so it is. She died at age 34 during a practice flight for an air show when her plane malfunctioned and she fell from the aircraft.
Who is she? They
Annual
have annual
flyover. Go
flyover.
ahead.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
They held in Chicago over her grave. The answer is Bessie
Bessie
Coleman.
Coleman.
There you
Not to be confused with Bessie Smith, the jazz singer.
But that's hard. That's a horrible death.
Yeah.
Man, oh man. It's like today when
She was
planes
pretty
fall out.
too. She was pretty.
Yeah. Listen, are you surprised? We talking about a Black
No.
woman
Mm-mm. But I mean, I'm just giving her props.
You giving her props? Okay. Bessie Coleman. Wow. Greg comes up with some. She comes up with some pretty good ones. And those
Mhm.
clues, though, that clue was something else. Mm,
Yeah.
wow. We got a lot of history, and that's the point of this. We have fun with it and everything, but one of the points as we continue to see the erasure of history, real history, Black history, the Black press has always been at the forefront of documenting our history and keeping our history alive. And now it's more important. And I know it sounds like it's hyperbole, but it really is more important than ever,
Mhm.
ever to continue to document and report on that history. So these quizzes are they're really good. And these Black history moments that you came up with, Niele, these are great. And the Black owned newspaper of the day, you also came up with that. We need that. We really need that.
You
Dr.
know?
Marilyn says Neverland flashbacks had him twisted. I always had a great time at Neverland. Always. You cannot go to Neverland and not have a great time.
Did you
And
ride the rides? Did you climb the tree?
oh my gosh. I was privileged to see the debut at Neverland, Michael's Ghost music video, or what do you call it? He didn't call it short films. He called it um at the movie theater at Neverland. And the great thing about the movie theaters there at Neverland, like you could tell the guy, the movie may not even be in the theaters yet. You could tell the handlers there, hey, I would love to see this. And do you know that voila, you
Wow.
got it. That night is you move. Same thing with dinner. Like he had the best chefs, and you could say, I want lobster tonight or whatever. Liz always ordered lobster, Liz Taylor, whatever. But you could say I want, a porterhouse T-bone steak or whatever. And if it wasn't on premises, they sent somebody out quickly. And by dinner time, you had the best T-bone porterhouse steak. It was an amazing experience every time you went.
And what would
to-
Michael be doing? What would he be doing?
Well, sometimes he's not even there.
Oh.
Sometimes he wouldn't even be there. And other times he would be there. And what Michael always asks of every single guest, no matter how many times you've been there, and like I said, I've been there 10, 11, 12 times. He had this statue of a butler, right? The statue was dressed in butler. It's not a statue, but it's one of those characters, right? This wax figure almost.
Okay.
And he always held this huge book. And it was at the dining room entrance. He always wanted you to give him a positive message in that book and sign your name. And every time I wrote in that book, I would do more reading than writing in that book, because you name it, they were there. I mean, the biggest,
like a Diddy party. Like a Diddy party.
No, not at once. See, that's the thing. They would come through. Folks would come through once in a while, and they signed that book, and you had the biggest name in sports, the biggest names in entertainment, music, film, whatever, that was at Neverland. I remember once, and Orange, you will appreciate this, signing on the same page as O.J. Simpson. So,
because
and
his
O.J.
kids
wasn't
went
there.
there, but the kids went. The Kardashians, they talk about that all the time. How when they were young, they went to.
I met
Neverland.
Kim one time in my life, and this is before they were, and because she was dating Michael's nephew, and I thought she was a pretty little thing. She was a teenager.
And they were at Neverland.
At
you
Neverland,
met her at Neverland,
right? And and I didn't know. I mean, this is Kim. Okay.
Yeah.
But you kept it moving because so much to do. The train and everything else. You ride the train, and there's teepees. If you want to sleep in a teepee, you can sleep in a teepee. It's like it's all types of stuff. Tennis, basketball, game rooms, 2-floor game room. It was just an amazing place. To even think of that, to conceive of that, was interesting. I always thought, like, the one time I spent a week there, and I couldn't wait till the week was over. And the reason being is because it wasn't my reality. And you knew you was getting back to reality. And I wasn't making any money. I was at the LA Daily News at the time, I believe, when I took a vacation there, and they wasn't paying me nothing. It's like, I got to get back to reality here, because I can't even afford the candy that's in the store. So, oh boy. Anyway, we didn't do our Black-owned newspaper. It's the Columbus Times. It's a newspaper that reports the news of the Black community of Columbus, Georgia. Its mission is to promote the development of the community along all lines: civic, social, political, religious, economic, individual, commercial, and educational. The Columbus Times in Columbus, Georgia is our Black-owned newspaper of the day.
Nice. Love it. All right. And for more Black news, Black newspapers, you want to head over to BlackPressUSA.com, where we bring you 24/7 the headlines that uplift and impact the Black experience.
There you go. Thanks for watching. Let it be known. We'll be back at it tomorrow.